Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online graduate certificate information session. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Sienna, and I'm from the domestic recruitment team here at Macquarie University. Before we start the session, I would like to acknowledge the First Nations peoples of Australia and elders past, present, and emerging. I would like to extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander guests in the audience today. Today, we have an insightful session planned for you to find out all about our 3 new fully online graduate certificates. These include the Graduate Certificate of Applied Business Analytics, the Graduate Certificate of Digital Marketing, and the Graduate Certificate of Leadership and Change. To kick off the session, I am pleased to introduce our academics panel for today. This includes Dr. Rob Jack, Dr. Helen Siuki, and Associate Professor Babak Abedin from Macquarie Business School, who will provide us in-depth information about these new courses. If you have any questions for them, please just pop them down in the Q&A box and we will address them at the end of the webinar. Now, welcome to our panel, our incredible academics. Would you please be able to introduce yourself and share your professional background with the audience? Helen, why don't we start with you?
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Helen Siuki. I'm the Director of Education in the Department of Marketing at Macquarie Business School. I teach subjects such as digital marketing strategy, social media marketing, and marketing research to undergraduate and postgraduate students. I also research in the same fields of study. I lead the team of academics who are involved in the development and delivery of graduate certificate of digital marketing.
Fabulous. Thank you, Helen. Should we go, Rob?
Thanks, Sienna, and hi, everyone. My name's Dr. Rob Jack. I work in the Department of Management at Macquarie University Business School. My key role in that department is as the course director for our Masters of Management program, which is one of the more diverse and important of our Masters program. I teach in the area of international management and international business. Previously, I worked in both the public and private sectors in senior administrative roles, management roles, and in consulting. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you. And Babak?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Babak Abedin. I am Head of Department of Actuarial Studies and Business Analytics here at Macquarie Business School. I'm really excited to be here and to represent our grad cert program on Applied Business Analytics and looking forward to the discussion today.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us. Essentially, graduate certificates have become a very hot topic in recent years, especially for those looking for upskilling and reskilling. Would all of you be able to share your thoughts on what exactly a graduate certificate is and why we should consider this as a study option as students? Helen, we'll start with you again.
Sure. A graduate certificate is a postgraduate qualification that usually requires completion of a shorter and more focused program of study than a full master's degree. Graduate certificates are, designed to provide students with specific knowledge and skills in a particular area of expertise. So a graduate certificate can be a great option for those looking to upskill or reskill in a relatively shorter amount of time. Also, a graduate certificate can give you a taste of what it's like to study in a particular area and help you better decide if it's something that you would like to pursue further. Each of our graduate certificate programs would take 6 months or 2 terms to complete full-time, making them very accessible and affordable option for those who would like to gain specialized knowledge and skills without committing to a full degree program. Also, our graduate certificate programs are designed to be very flexible and can be completed 100% online, allowing students to easily balance their studies with work, with family commitment and other commitments that they have in their life. And finally, I would say that completing a graduate certificate can be a great way for working professionals specifically to boost their resume, to demonstrate their expertise to the current or any potential employers. So if you're thinking of switching job or applying for promotion, completing a graduate certificate can show that you have the required skill set that's relevant to the job you're applying for.
Fabulous. Yeah, that's a very comprehensive overview. I think that fabulous flexibility emphasis is something we'll probably talk about a lot. It's incredible to do alongside lots of other things that may be going in your life after your initial undergraduate studies. Rob and Babak, did you have anything to add?
Look, I'll just add something briefly. Helen gave a very, very good and comprehensive overview of that. To me, any type of graduate certificate has to fulfill three functions, if that makes sense, for the student. One is that it needs to be convenient, it needs to be flexible, and most importantly, it needs to be relevant. So the convenience and flexibility comes in the way that it is taught or the way that it is delivered. And of course, these are online grad certs that are designed to be convenient and flexibility in their learning delivery. But at the same time, there's always an expectation with any type of postgraduate study that it provides immediate relevance to the students. And I think all of our grad certs are able to do that. Some of them are very specific in the case of our grad cert in business analytics and in digital marketing. Some are a little bit more broader, such as the grad cert in management, which is looking at leadership and change management. So I think those three issues around convenience, flexibility, and relevance are the most important to emphasize. And all our grad certs conform to that.
Definitely. Babak, did you have anything to add on what our graduate certificates are?
Thanks, everyone. I guess Rob and Helen covered everything. The only thing that I would add is, we did mention that this is a flexible online program, but we also have made sure that there is synchronous, real-time opportunities embedded into the program. So we'll have this opportunity to meet with the students online and have this conversation. So it is flexible. And as also Rob mentioned, we have implemented a number of strategies to make it as relevant and practical as possible.
Definitely. I'd say any course that you study at Macquarie, being a student myself as well, there's a big emphasis between kind of what you're learning in class, but then the practicality element as well. So that's a really good thing to bring up too. But coming back to our new graduate certificates. So we have our new 100% online graduate certificates. Would each of you be able to walk us through each of the highlights of those and why undertake online study with Macquarie specifically? Helen, we may go back to you.
Sure. So talking about the graduate certificate of digital marketing, so as you know, as the world becomes more digital, businesses are looking for highly skilled professionals who can help them reach, communicate, and engage the consumers across various digital channels. So the demand for digital marketing professionals is on the rise, and the trend is expected to continue in the future. So our graduate certificate in digital marketing covers a wide range of contemporary topics related to digital marketing, including we have 4 units. So the first unit that we offer is digital marketing strategy, which provides an overview of digital marketing landscape, including fundamental concept and terminologies, and discussing, the various digital marketing channels such as search engine optimization or SEO, pay-per-click advertising, email marketing, affiliate marketing, and also website design. And focuses on planning, specifically this unit focuses on planning and strategic development, optimizing marketing strategies based on data-driven insights. In this unit, we have partnered with the Trade Desk, which is a multinational digital media buying platform built for the open internet, to give our students the latest digital marketing practical knowledge and expertise, helping them to build confidence and advance their career by learning to drive real business outcomes. The second unit that we offer is social media marketing. In this unit, students learned how to create and execute and monitor social media marketing campaigns and curate real-life social media branded content and posts on social media platforms that can attract and engage consumers and generate buzz. This unit includes a series of interviews with social media marketing experts from top companies, sharing their practical knowledge and expertise with our students, with our students, and also students can have the opportunity to get familiar with real-life social media management tools, for example, Hootsuite. Students can also achieve the Hootsuite industry-recognized social media-related certifications as a part of assessment task in this unit. Another unit that we offered in the graduate certificate of digital marketing is marketing technologies, or MarTech unit. In this unit, we offer offers different types and forms of technology applications in marketing. Students will gain both conceptual and practical knowledge on how artificial intelligence and automation create value for firms and customers, and enhance personalization and facilitate optimization in these topic areas, such as customer relationship management, CRM, chatbots, blockchain, or metaverse. And finally, the fourth unit that we offer is managing customer experience, or CX, which in this unit, students learn to generate marketing insights to optimize the organization's ability to foster a seamless customer experience across different channels. Overall, I believe that completing our graduate certificate of digital marketing will help you to develop the skills needed to succeed in today's digital world and advance your career in this highly growth industry.
Amazing. Thank you. That was a great overview. Before I pass over to Babak, I just wanted to say thank you to all the attendees so far who are starting to put their Q&A questions into that little box. Please keep sending them through and we'll answer them all towards the end of the session. Now, Babak, would you be able to tell us specifically about your new graduate certificate and why we should undertake it online?
Yes, sure. Thank you. So in our grad cert, we have intentionally used the term applied. So it's a graduate certificate of applied business analytics. So I'm going to actually talk about the three words: applied, business and analytics, and I'm trying to show how they're connected. So starting with analytics, the growth of data across the world has brought the need for analyzing data, and then because of the scale of the data that's not been made available to various organizations, and the type and variety of insights we can extract from those data has made business analytics expertise and skills very much in demand, and there's increasingly skill gap in this area in the market in Australia and overseas. So as organizations have more data, there's the question of how they can take advantage of this data. When you want to take advantage of large amount of data, there is multiple skill sets that need to be present. In general, we can group them in three areas of skills that a business analyst would need to have. One is understanding the business. So that's when the next term business comes into the picture. So everything starts with having a need, either innovating something or having a business problem or thinking about a new product or servicing your customers and clients in a better way. So we start with the business, understanding the business. And when we talk about business, it can be public sector, commercial business, government sector. It applies to all different sectors. And then each organization and each sector deals with different problems and ideas. So we start with that. So in our graduate certificate, which can potentially lead to a Master of Business Analytics, we make sure that we cover the business side of business analytics. Then the analytics term, it's about using some statistical and mathematical models and doing some level of programming in order to be able to store and process data, to model data, and to extract interesting insights. For example, in the very typical example is house prices in Australia, that you get different analysis and insights, high school and primary school rankings, and we use various data, and it's very important that we come up with good and reliable analysis, otherwise it could be misleading. So we use in our program a combination of a little bit of exposure to programming and a bit of building foundations in statistical modeling, so that we cover that element of analytics. So students with absolutely no background to programming and statistics would be able to take these units and get a fundamental basic exposure to programming, recent and contemporary programming tools in analytics, and some fundamental statistical and data analysis. Now, putting all this together, you will have business analytics. So why we have used applied here? Because as Sienna mentioned earlier, in Macquarie University, having applied degrees is a key important factor for us. And especially in business analytics, we have partnered with two organizations, Microsoft and Alteryx, which are leading organizations in data analytics, data visualization, among other partners that we have in our other programs. But these two in particular have been able to contribute into and provide inputs into our program. So we wanted to make sure we have integrated real-world case studies and real-world data set, and bring some of those use cases from Australian and international organizations, and really help students to gain insight into what is happening today, right now in organizations, and upon completion of this grad cert, making sure that they are well equipped to either apply the knowledge in their current workplace, or if they are looking for new opportunities, have the relevant skills to be able to move to this business analytics space. Now, Sienna, I noticed that there's a question in the chat box. I'm not sure if I have time to say a few words about that, or do we want to leave it to later?
Yeah, if you wanted to say a few words about the specific analytic skills that students will learn, you're more than welcome to.
Yes, sure. I noticed that there is the question in terms of the I actually lost the question. What business analytics skills will be covered in this grad cert? So as I said, we are going to cover 3 areas in general. Looking at our programs, we cover 4 units. One is Introduction to Inference, Modeling, and Forecasting. In this unit, we cover absolute basic and foundations of statistics. Now, I want to emphasize that all these units have been designed for students with no background in statistics and programming. So please take that into consideration. This first unit will build that initial and basic foundations of statistics that is needed when you go to, and when you want to work with data and try to connect the dots. Next, in our next unit, we cover techniques in business analytics. We go through a little bit of programming. We particularly use Python, and we use some real-world data sets and apply some of those programming techniques to be able to produce and create some basic models using tools available, including Python. Next, we cover data and visualization. This is a core topic in business analytics. Really, when you look at charts that Sydney Morning Herald and other outlets publish, ABC and here and there, people really, a picture says more than 1,000 words. So in this unit, we try to, cover some basics and applied tools we use for visualizing some of those insights. And finally, we have management of data analytics and change, which is purely covering the soft side of analytics. So it looks at, people, implications, ethics, and change management, and how we can implement some of those analytics skills into organizational practices.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And Rob, would you be able to finish off with kind of an overview of the Graduate Certificate of Leadership and Change?
Yes, thank you. As with all the grad certs, there's a key division between the areas of expertise that this particular grad cert is focusing on. And there's 2 key elements to it. There are 4 subjects, as is common with all the grad certs. And in the Leadership and Change grad cert, there are 2 devoted to leadership and 2 devoted to understanding the organisational context in which change is going to take place. Now, I say organisational context, I know that might sound a little bit, convoluted, but it simply means that we've designed this unit to be relevant to the different organisational contexts students may be in. It doesn't always apply necessarily to large organisations in the public sector. Many students might be interested in working in small to medium-sized enterprises, some are even smaller in entrepreneurial enterprises, some are from family businesses, and some, more importantly, are also from the public sector. So the key thing to bear in mind with this particular unit is that any of those organisational contexts is relevant because we're talking about the change management process. So the two units that are relevant to understanding that organisational context, students will do one in their first term and they'll do the second one in their final term. In the first term, it's a unit called Work, Organisation and Management. It's essentially an introductory unit to the idea of management and the idea of the issue of the organisation or the definition of the organisation and how that works and how responsibilities lie. The second extension of that, which students do in their second semester, is change management. So it's important that before they do change management as a unit, that they understand the organisational context in which change is going to take place. Now, in this particular case, we recognise, as I said, particularly in the change management unit, that change can occur regardless of the size of the organisation and regardless of where that organisation is contained in the economy, again, whether it's the public sector or the private sector. So that's the focus of what we call the organisational part of the grad certificate. What's more important is that balance between what I call individual or personal development. And that applies in the two leadership units. Now, again, these leadership units are undertaken at different terms. So in the same way, in the first term, the students are introduced to the basics of organisational thought and organisational management. They're introduced to the unit called Learning to be a Leader, understanding the fundamentals of leadership and how that can apply to them personally within the professional context or the professional organisation that they're involved in. The second unit that they actually do in their final semester, along with change management, is the extension of that, which is learning to be persuasive. Now, the reason why we've put that unit together with change management is that the fundamentals of any type of organisational change actually occurs through the application of leadership. Now, whether this is in a small organisation where perhaps the student is the key founder, the manager, or whether it's in a large organisation where they could simply be in charge of a team, those different organisational contexts apply across the leadership units and in the organisational focus that occurs with the introductory work, organisation and management subject, and specifically the change management unit. So there's a recognition with a unit like this that it has to balance individual or personal growth through the application of the leadership units, learning to be a leader and learning to be persuasive, and understanding that that leadership balance and those leadership skills can apply across any relevant organisational context. Because we also recognise that many students may go on to do different things when they finish this grad cert. They may be working in a large organisation, they might be managing a team, they may be going on or have ambitions to set up their own business. So having a grad cert that just focuses purely on their current professional situation is not going to be relevant to them. And this goes back to this idea about the convenience, flexibility and relevance of the grad cert. So this is what we've tried to very strongly build into the graduate certificate of leadership and change, focusing on the two units that are very much around personal growth, personal development in the gradual acquisition of the key leadership skills around learning to be a leader and learning to be persuasive, and understanding the different organisational contexts that exist within an organisation and how change management itself can apply to those different organisational contexts. And I think that sums it up pretty well, I think.
Yes, an incredible comprehensive summary. But for those who are just joining in or who have listened throughout that, we do have those new 3 digital 100% online graduate certificates. As we've been saying, these are 100% new, 100% online. Our next term starts on the 3rd of April with applications closing on the 20th of March. If for whatever reason you don't get your application in by the 20th of March, or you haven't decided which of those 3 you may be interested in, we will have 2 more intakes throughout the year in June and September. So there's lots of time to start throughout the year, even if it's not this term. Now, moving on to kind of the more general information about the course, we obviously get quite a few questions about it being 100% online. So moving to Rob, for an online class, what does this learning experience look like? How do we kind of teach and interact online? And what is better or more unique about it compared to a traditional classroom?
Well, to use the technical term or the academic term, what these grad certs are is that they've been developed under the process of asynchronous learning, which means they are open to the students to learn in a flexible way, in a convenient way. Now, having said that, they are also structured. They have to be structured. So we're talking about a 10-week term. So therefore, all of our grad certs, the individual subjects within our grad certs, have at least 9 or 10 individual topics, okay, that are focused on over the course of the 10 weeks. So students will be able to go online into what we call our iLearn sites where this material is. They will have all the information that they need that is relevant for their assessment, for their learning outcomes, and they will get over the course of the term access to the modules or the weekly subjects that apply. At the same time, there is also a synchronous component in the delivery of these grad certs. So what that means is that there is the opportunity for students to engage with the instructor or the lecturer. So what they will see in all the grad certs is an introductory video by the allocated instructor. That'll be a welcome video. They'll also get audio and visual recordings and sometimes podcasts that are related to individual topics. All this is fine and consistent with the flexibility and convenience of these grad certs or the subjects within these grad certs. But they do have the opportunity each week to be able to engage in a more or less consultative way with the instructor for the unit. Now, what that means is that it's not going to be a tutorial as such. It's more going to be perhaps a little bit like what we're doing now, talking about the different elements that might be relevant for the unit, talking about what they may have found interesting during the week. It won't be compulsory. There'll be some students who may not be interested in doing this every week. They might want to do it once or twice and not bother with it again. The intention is that this will be recorded. So if the student wanted to come and perhaps misses it, they can listen to it. It's still got a fair amount of flexibility with it, but it at least allows students to be engaged one-to-one in a voluntary way with the instructor. And I think that's important. So the asynchronous element is very important to emphasize because this is about the idea of convenience and flexibility, etc., for the students. But that synchronous element, that ability to engage one-to-one, is still going to be there.
For sure. Thank you, Rob. So I think the big emphasis on having a lot of different options for learning, flexible learning, having that asynchronous and synchronous kind of opportunity throughout the course. Moving more specifically to Helen, would you be able to explain how this kind of hybrid mixed delivery works for our working professionals who are undertaking this course? What can they expect for their kind of weekly participation and how assessments will work?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Rob mentioned, our online delivery offers convenience options for working professionals who want to further their education while balancing work with personal commitments. So our courses are fully online, asynchronous, which means you can complete coursework on your own and in your convenience. So, however, as Rob mentioned, for those who would like to have synchronous, interactions and live communications with the teaching staff and other classmates, perhaps, we offer regular live sessions and Zoom consultations where students can directly interact with our teaching staff to clarify, any course materials, to ask their questions regarding the assessment tasks. We also have set up dedicated online discussion forums in different modules for different, purposes, for students to discuss the unit content together or ask questions from the teaching staff, or even submit their class activities to receive feedback. Regarding the assessment tasks, our assessment tasks are very authentic and practical, where students can apply what they have learned in a real-world context. For instance, we have project-based assessments requiring students to develop a digital marketing plan, for example, or create a social media real life campaign on social media. So with real life posts, and they need to consider everything, what hashtag to use, what keywords to use, and how to design their post, etc. Students also need to complete a MarTech project, thinking about best tools and marketing technologies to include in their plan. Or they need to complete and write a CX or customer experience recommendation reports, in which students in all of these different types of assessment tasks, students work on real world projects or problems, and are evaluated based on their ability to apply what they have learned to that specific content. So a little bit about how we assess our students.
For sure. I actually have a really interesting question in the Q&A that I think may be relevant here. One of our guests is asking if students who are studying the 100% online course would have the same work opportunities as face-to-face students. Did anyone want to jump in with an answer to that one?
I would say yes, because it depends. It depends, what you want to do. So because as we mentioned, this is you're gonna gain a very specialized knowledge and expertise. So you can definitely highly focused informations and knowledge, and you can learn. And yeah, for sure, it's gonna open lots of opportunities to you regarding applying for a promotion or switching jobs. Yeah, I would say the answer is yes.
Yeah, I think as Helen said, the key thing to remember here is that obviously it's an additional qualification, and you're leveraging the Macquarie reputation and brand. Obviously, for many people, the grad cert is the convenience and flexibility of why they want to do that specific focus qualification. But in terms of the opportunities that they would have once they complete that, or successfully complete it, it's as much as the face-to-face students would do, easily so. And I'm talking about face-to-face at postgraduate level in that sense, yeah.
Incredible. Well, thank you for clarifying that one. I just thought it was something really important to highlight. Babak, moving on to the kind of how long does it take and how do I have a bit of a work-life balance? This is a question that we get a lot from our students at any study level. We've noticed throughout all these different courses that there's 4 different units that you have to complete. So how would you say that your students juggle between full-time study and full-time work and part-time study and still have a life kind of amongst that?
No, that's a really good question. I think Helen partly answered the question in terms of there is this opportunity and possibility for learners to complete this any grad cert program in 6 months, in about 6 months over 2 terms if they want to do full time. Otherwise, you may choose to take 1 unit per term, and then that would take about 1 year. I think when I put myself in, in learner's shoes, and I, like everybody else, I'm considering myself as a learner, so I would probably do some other grad certs that would help me lift up my skills, is that really trying to connect what's happening in your workplace today, the type of challenges and problems that we may be dealing in our workplace, the type of data sets that we may be using today in our workplace, or in the future, in our future workplaces. And then that will be a great help in helping us connect with the teaching material and learning material, and then choosing whether, depending on your other commitments at work and family, whether you want to go part-time or full-time. And again, going back to the points mentioned earlier, this program is very flexible. So you may choose to start with 1 unit in term 2 or term 3, start with 1 unit and have an understanding of, the workload and how it would work considering your other family and work commitments. And then if you choose, you can take more units moving forward or stay with 1 unit per term. So I would say, if we can create a synergy between the learning, what is being learned in these grad cert programs and our current challenges at workplace, then we probably will see that it's not taking as much time as it may seem. And moving forward, we can create, add or remove units to our schedule for future terms.
Fabulous. So very flexible and kind of workable around your own schedule and what you require in life outside of study, which I think whatever course you're studying at Macquarie is always a big plus. Moving into some more specific information kind of about the value of our graduate certificates and why study one. We've said a lot tonight, things about upskilling and reskilling. Rob, could I ask, what are the benefits of having one of our graduate certificates when we're looking for a leadership management role?
Well, if you're looking specifically at how that may apply with the Grad Cert of Leadership and Change, what's very unique about this is that combination of skills. There's a number of grad certs that, look at leadership, none that combine the leadership and change process together. So again, the key issue here is in relation to the leadership and change grad cert is that it's very, very specific, as I mentioned, around that division between understanding and comprehending the organizational context, as well as appreciating the enormous benefits that you have through the personal development, the individual development that occurs through those two leadership units. Because the key element in relation to the workplace is that all companies have had two significant changes that have been essentially forced on them over the last 3 years, and we know what they are. There's the shutdowns that occurred through COVID and the emergence from that. Well, that was a very good example of the first instance of a reactive change, a forced change that companies had to deal with. And secondly, companies are still going through the process of trying to emerge from COVID in this post-COVID. We're realizing that, they won't go back to pre-2020. And they're essentially looking at all different ways they have to try and navigate the new competitive environment that they're operating in, whether they're large or small. So I think all the grad certs are relevant for that. Speaking specifically about the Grad Cert of Leadership of Change, that's essentially what this is about, how to navigate that proactive response to change that all organizations, large or small, are dealing with at the moment.
Fabulous. One of the other questions that we often get, I'll pop this one to Helen, in terms of accreditation, are the online graduate certificate programs accredited and how does that benefit a career in marketing?
Yes, the short answer is yes. So our graduate certificate programs are accredited and are just as credible and valuable as those delivered on campus. With the same syllabus, same unit description, same unit learning outcomes, same quality of teaching resources and materials, etc. Also regarding the benefits for a career in marketing, our graduate certificate in digital marketing can equip you with the latest digital marketing skill set that is highly sought after in the marketing industry. You can set yourself apart from other candidates in the job market. You can demonstrate that you have the required expertise and qualifications to succeed in roles such as digital marketing manager, social media marketing specialist, SEO analyst, PPC analyst. So different specific job titles related to digital marketing and social media marketing. So completing our graduate certificate, it can also demonstrate to employers that you have a commitment to ongoing learning and professional development, which is specifically very important in an industry like digital marketing or marketing industry that is constantly evolving.
Definitely. So that's an incredible thing to note that they are accredited similar to they would be as if they were delivered on campus. And Babak, passing to you as well, one of the questions that we often get is in terms of how do our graduate certificates sit in a study pathway? What would be the articulation options if a student wanted to upgrade to a master's degree after completing a graduate certificate?
No, that's definitely a very good question. And thanks, Sienna. So we have designed all 3 graduate certificate programs in a way that the students will have the option to either choose to complete and end their engagement with the program, or continue into a master degree. So, for example, for applied business analytics, the 4 units that students may take and complete will enable them to continue and enroll into a Master of Business Analytics program that we do offer currently at Macquarie University, and which means because they've completed those 4 units, they will be able to complete their master degree a lot faster. And so this pathway is there. We have intentionally and consciously designed all the 3 programs in a way that the students will have the option to continue or to end the program.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to our academic panel for sharing your insights with us. We'll now move on to the FAQ element with our audience today. We've had quite a few questions come in, which is incredible. Keep sending them in and we'll work through them live. But to start us off, one of the really common ones that we get, and especially with new courses as well, is how many students can I expect to study with in 1 unit? If anyone would like to take that one.
Maybe I just share a few words. I think given that this is an online program and flexibility is embedded into the program, it's really the number wouldn't be an issue, because in our face-to-face classes we have limitations in terms of location, and our classes normally you need to have certain number of students for class activities or in lectures rooms, whereas in an online environment we don't have that limitation, because this online grad certs have been designed in a way that learners can engage with the program content at their own convenience. It means that there's a lot of content that's already available for learners to engage with at any time. But then, having said that, we do have real-time synchronous sessions also made available throughout the term, which means during those times students may join the conversation, so that numbers would vary.
Fabulous, thank you. And would any of you be able to provide more information on how the units are assessed, given it is fully online? How would the assessments look a bit different to what students would usually be used to in person?
Well, just briefly in relation to the grad cert in leadership and change, and I think this is common across the board, but they're obviously a little bit more streamlined. In our grad cert, there's no exams. They are normally 2 to 3 assessments at the most, and they are spread out over the term. So a number of units in the grad cert of leadership and change just simply have 2 written assessments, and these are typical assessments that you would expect in a certificate. In the case of the leadership units, they're around developing their own leadership development plan. In the case of the organisation-based units around change management and work employment society, organisation and management, they're more conventional essays. The essay length is around about 1,500 to 2,000 words at the most. And as I said, there tends to be a fairly typical submission break between the middle of the semester, where one assessment is due at middle of the term, and the end of the term when the second semester is due.
Amazing.
I would also add that, in graduate certificate of digital marketing, each unit has 3 assessment tasks. One of the assessment tasks, usually 20% to 30%, is participatory task that are related to the content that we cover in each module. So students are recommended to submit these small participatory tasks on a weekly basis to learn and to assess themselves and to receive feedback. Other types of assessment, like major assessments we have, it's like, as Rob mentions, reports, plans, practical, strategic plans, and also video presentations that they can, record and upload on iLearn. So it's they can all do everything, all these assessment tasks online and submit online through Turnitin or through discussion forums or other, submission points.
Fabulous. Babak, did you have anything to add on assessments?
No, I guess everything was covered. One thing that I would say is we made sure that the learning outcomes that are being delivered and measured in our online programs are equivalent with the face-to-face programs, so the students don't miss out. But we also made sure that because this program is fully online, assessment tasks are have been adjusted in a way that they can be fully attempted online. So and that's why, going back to what Rob mentioned, there is no final exam. Rather, we have embedded some more practical and online related tasks.
Yeah, fabulous. So I think the one thing that we've emphasized a lot is accessibility, all about being kind of flexible to your lifestyle and kind of getting you through the course in both asynchronous and synchronous methods. One of the questions we kind of have as a result of that is, after class, in terms of the workload and different questions that students may have, are there any additional support services accessible after those class hours? Anyone who'd like to jump in on that one?
I go back to the point that I mentioned earlier, Sienna, that there's going to be online sessions, synchronous sessions available. So these sessions are going to be made available on a weekly basis, which means this support is going to be available. Staff are going to be available for any email inquiries, and on top of that, I think when students enroll in these programs, they are Macquarie students. So the program has been designed for online engagement, but we are going to be available for face-to-face contacts if needed, or organize separate online sessions and catch up with the students in different times. So yeah, they're going to be Macquarie University students, and we are there to meet those demands as they arise.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that we raised there is the students, even though they're being online, being Macquarie students from day one, whether that is internally or externally. We have a very similar question that popped up as well that said, as an online student doing this certificate, could they use the library and other facilities on campus if they need it as well? And the answer is yes. As a Macquarie student, you'd have access to all of those on-campus services like the library, support services, and anything like that. Helen, did you have something to add?
Just very quickly to add to what Babak mentions. So we also, if a student feel like that they need some support and help regarding their assessment task, they can email the lecturer and ask for a one-to-one Zoom consultation. So they can have this kind of Zoom consultation one-to-one. They can come to the live sessions that we have, and they can even post their questions. We have 3 separate dedicated discussion forum on Island for students to post any question regarding their assessment task. So anything else regarding the unit content. So they can post their question whenever they want, and they're gonna get their answers by the teaching staff, perhaps in 24 hours.
Very fast turnaround on Island forums indeed. We have another question from someone in the Q&A box asking if there are any opportunities for scholarships in relation to these graduate certificates. We don't have any information on scholarships available today, but we do have a scholarships page available on our website. So we just recommend that you keep checking that one, and any updates would come up there. Fabulous. Another question in our Q&A box is general to kind of all 3 of the graduate certificates. And I think we've touched on it a little bit already, but what would you say is the typical study path after completing a grad cert in business analytics or any of our other grad certs? What would you say that most people do after that? A master's or go straight back into the workforce? What would you think?
If I could just maybe answer for business analytics, or maybe that answer could be applied to other programs. Yeah. I guess and if I could also connect it with a question that was asked in relation to someone, I guess it was Oscar, being in a position that working with in marketing industry, and they see actually an interest in all 3 programs, in analytics and digital marketing and leadership. I think it really depends on the work circumstances, and some students may choose to finish one grad cert and enroll in another grad cert. For example, in Oscar's case, you may choose to start with business analytics analytics for examples, get some exposure to, how to extract some insights using the marketing data that may be available to you. And then following that, choosing to do something in leadership or digital marketing. And some may choose actually to move to a master program and continue the study. It's because, you may see, this area, whatever area that you may program you may choose to enroll in, and you may want to deepen your understanding, get a little bit more exposure, do a few more units, and some may choose to do only one grad set program because you probably want to jump in a new role, you want to change the industry. I think this would be a great motivation, especially if you want to change industry and you see opportunities some other places. And I would definitely see this as a great opportunity because I guess when you look at the job opportunities, salaries, and everything, there's these programs have been designed in a way that give you enough exposure to change the industry and sector. So. I think all options are really on the table, and the programs are all flexible. And I would say that as you start and you take your first unit or first 2 units, and then I would go back to the point that we mentioned earlier. You are definitely welcome to reach out to us online or face-to-face, and also Macquarie University services, because that's when you see what are the opportunities out there that you probably were not aware of them before enrolling into these programs. And all of a sudden, these programs may open your eyes into, possibilities. And then, as I said, we have online programs that you can continue, or you can, enroll in some of the face-to-face ones.
Definitely. I think the kind of take-home message is that the sky is the limit with whichever one that you end up doing and doing afterwards as well. There are lots of different options. In terms of a bit of a technical question for each of you, we have a question asking, what are the suggested kind of studying homework hours that you can expect per week, other than your normal kind of lesson?
It will probably vary a little bit depending on the subject and whether they're doing, one of the other grad cert, or which grad cert they're doing. Look, the reality is that they would probably need to devote at least a couple of hours a week to the learning process, meaning that there will be links provided within the iLearn sites to readings. Some of those readings will be deemed to be required or essential readings that the students should familiarise themselves with. There are some activities and some readings that are more perhaps supplementary, that many students will be interested in going into. Many students will want to devour the topic and try and unearth all the information they can about the topic. So there's always that balance between required material that they would need to read and prepare for week by week, and a certain amount of what we sometimes call it supplementary readings, which are there for those that are interested, and many are, but it's not essential. So it will vary a little bit, from subject to subject. And I would say it probably will be a little bit more detailed in the final term. So the assumption they can make in the early introductory subjects that they tend to do, that, it's consistent. And they will sort of feel their way a little bit in terms of what they have to do and what they think they have to do in addition to that, if that makes sense.
For sure. Did either Helen or Babak, did you have anything to add on kind of hours for the course? Or I think that was a very good summary.
In terms of hours, I think it's around 10 to 12 hours, including everything per module. So it depends, as Rob mentioned, sometimes the lesson is longer, sometimes it's, shorter, but you have some, required reading. For example, in 1 week, you have a Harvard business case study to read, and it's required, it's part of the participatory task. And then you can discuss, have online discussion regarding the case study. And in other weeks, you have other things to do. In our graduate certificate of digital marketing, we have some certifications as part of our participatory task. So as I mentioned, for Edge Academic with the Trade Desk, about media buying and paid advertising, and also Hootsuite related to social media management tools. So we have incorporated these certifications as a part of our coursework. So after graduating from our graduate certificates, you can also add this kind of, very specialized industry recognized short certification to your resume. I would also mention something else, that, the design of our island site is very interactive. So you can see, different modules with the main lesson. You see lots of links if you would like to, study further about a particular area. There are some links to further resources. There are links to further videos or cases or examples, and so it's even, some short quizzes, and very, very interactive.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, I think we have kind of one more very brief question. Babak already did touch on it very briefly, but for those of our students who are very torn between our 3 new digital certificates, what would your one piece of advice be to choosing between those 3? Helen, I'll start with you.
It's if they're working in marketing or business, and would like to become more professional, or with digital space, and everything is going toward digital these days, everything. So as a marketing professional, or even in working in other fields, but interested in marketing or digital marketing, and they would study digital marketing. So in as I mentioned earlier, in digital marketing, they're gonna learn about digital marketing strategy, which is more a strategic kind of perspective. Social media marketing, which is more specific towards creating social media campaigns, very engaging social media shorter term campaigns. So we had a comprehensive overview in different units. We didn't have just the focusing on individual units. Instead, we focused on the whole program, looking at 4 different units, and how we can give students a variety of different specializations and skill sets. So when they are graduated, they know, all the required knowledge regarding a topic. So they can also learn about very trending topics in digital space, like artificial intelligence, chatbots, optimizations, big data, and all of these things. And also finally, customer experience. So managing customer experience these days is very important, because consumers use different channels. Sometimes you start searching about a product or brand using your mobile, and then you switch to laptop, and then you switch to the desktop, and then you go to the physical store. So we have different channels, and this is a big task to be to make sure that we provide a seamless experience across different channels, not separate channels that wouldn't talk to each other. So this is what we offer in the graduate certificate of digital marketing.
And Babak, did you have any final words of advice on choosing between the 3?
Look, in analytics, one thing we try to do is to make sure that data is well presented and we are not biased. So I definitely don't want to start with promoting business analytics. But generally, I go back to the earlier point I mentioned. We start with business. We really start with your goal, where you want to go. You're investing your time and your money on this program. So the question is, where do you hope this program takes you next? So what is the next immediate destination, and what's the immediate goal? And then you take it from there. If it's a managerial role and you need leadership skills, then I would go with the leadership one. But if you have access to data and you are excited about analytics and insights, then business analytics is the one. And otherwise, digital marketing, if you're interested in that space. So I guess if we can, and if needed, we can always help with those prioritizations. But I would start with what's the priority and an immediate goal.
Great advice. And any final words from you, Rob?
Look, I think that sums it up very, very well. I think for anyone who's looking at this, they're going to look very much about how this is going to help them. And I think for many potential students, it's how it's going to help them immediately. One key thing that I think perhaps more so in leadership and change than the others, although I don't want to discount it, is that many students will judge the value of this type of approach in terms of how much they can actually apply what they're learning immediately after they learn it. So I think one of the key things with the grad cert and all the grad certs is that you should be able to apply some of the key skills that you've picked up as you go through the individual subjects, not at the end, but actually you could apply them in the workplace. And I think that's something they need to keep in mind. This is not just going to be, any of these 3 grad certs are not going to necessarily have an immediate value after you've completed them. You should be able to see the value for them within your workplace as you acquire the different skills that all of them embody, and you should be able to apply them across your workplace environment as you acquire them. So I think that's important. For some, that might be a key thing that they want to try. That they want. I don't want to wait for 6 months. I want to be able to gradually apply what I'm learning week by week in the workplace, and I think that might determine the choice for some.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time on the panel. Thank you to our fabulous academics, and thank you to you in the audience, and thank you for your time. We hope you had a great time and learned some more about our 3 online graduate certificates. To discuss more on your personalized study plan, we invite you to book on one of our one-on-one consultations. Simply select your preferred time and we will get it organized and get in touch with you either by phone or Zoom. The link is in the chat box. Thank you so much again for your time, and have a lovely evening.